When you think about the character of Batman, how would you describe him? If you're a casual movie watcher, you'd probably say a gruff detective, loner, haunted by a tragic past. Certainly, these are the most prominent screen representations in the past 20 years. However, if you're not a wide reader, you probably wouldn't describe him as a father. In this media content analysis, my question of focus is, how is fatherhood reproduced, transformed, or ignored in popular modern Batman adaptations, and are these changes indicative of contemporary toxic masculine norms? This study operates under a social constructionism definition of gender identity and concerns not source material but rather wider adaptation, as adaptation is the selective reproduction or erasure of ideas with the aim to bring these ideas to a wider audience via mass media, which, according to Hall, creates culture and what we perceive to be norms. This is significant as, according to Esack, depictions of fatherhood in media are quite rare and may influence why some men don't approach fatherhood in a responsible manner. The example of Batman has been chosen because in comics the character has 7 children and is arguably a pseudo-foster parent for at least an additional 3. The following titles were chosen as the top 10 most popular Batman screen adaptations in the last 20 years, according to IMDb votes. 7 of these either include or make some passing mention of Robin, Batgirl, or another child. The method considered the child's degree of inclusion in the narrative, the nature of the relationship depicted, sincerity, fridging, healthiness, or relationship growth, intent, and comparatively what other masculine roles are foregrounded. The content analysis found that there were 4 significant elements for consideration. Firstly, there was significant transformation where the child character is reimagined in a scenario that removes Batman's parental role. The first example of this is the character of John Blake in The Dark Knight Rises. Blake is an approximation of 3 Robin characters. Here, Robin isn't adopted by Bruce Wayne and is in fact aged out of the dependency age range. As such, the relationship to Batman exists purely in an economic sense, leaving him the Batcave and tools to be Robin on his own. The economic transformation can be explained via binary depiction of gender roles in media, which according to Prinsloo and Connell, focuses on 2 spheres, the public masculine sphere, categorized as powerful, physical, rational, and conflated with breadwinning, versus the private feminine sphere, being passive, dependent, emotional, and is conflated with the domestic, the family, personal life, intimacy, caring, and unwaged labor. It should be noted that as binaries, the conflated public-private gender representations have developed the perception of being incompatible with each other, which may explain why this adaptation erases intimacy and recognizes only the public, economic provider aspect of the Batman-Robin relationship. The second example of significant transformation is Cassandra Cain in Birds of Prey, where Bruce's 4th adopted child is reimagined as a mentee to the anti-hero Harley Quinn.
I mean, how do I be like you? Well, except for the crazy part, but other than that.
On the one hand, the decision to pair Cain with a non-traditional female main character role model is a significant feminist representation, because according to Walters and Harrison, women who don't conform to passive femininity are framed as incompatible with children. However, unless Cain in future films is linked to Bruce, the decision not to write an original child character in this situation erases what is, in essence, depictions of fatherhood that are pro-feminist in nature. The second area of consideration is fridging, or faux inclusion of fatherhood wherein the father-child relationship only exists to motivate Batman when Robin is killed. In 1999, the website Women in Refrigerators began as a way to document female characters who were killed, raped, or injured as a plot device to motivate men. While fridging concerns women, the notion is also worth exploration in relation to children, due to the position of father-child relationships in the constructed private sphere. An example here is the DC Extended Universe's Robin, who never appears on screen, but whose death is alluded to as an explanation for the universe's darker, unhinged Batman. The third concept is comedy and parody. The Lego Batman movie is one of the few films on this list that depicts a father-child relationship. However, according to Palmer, there is an ongoing debate over whether humor and comedy are basically subversive or conservative in nature. Meaning, can we take this depiction as a genuine, positive representation of fatherhood?
But I don't want to make my other dad, Bruce Wayne, angry. Do you think we'll be done before my bedtime?
Bedtime! Batman's life lesson number 2. Vigilantes don't have bedtimes.
Yes!
Essentially, while we can look at director Chris McKay's goal in making the film, due to the ambiguous nature of comedy, the portrayal could either be reaffirming that a father-son relationship between a macho hero is ridiculous, or merely portraying a genuine relationship and seasoning it with jokes. In essence, the depiction will likely only reaffirm your own preconceptions, making the depiction, if you will, Schrodinger's Bat-Dad, existing and not existing as genuine at the same time. The fourth area of consideration was adaptations that were genuine in portraying a father-child relationship, with, however, recognition of the distribution limitations of these adaptations. The analysis found that in 2 adaptations, Titans and Under the Red Hood, a parental role is acknowledged and frequently affirmed.
Jason, get on out here or I'm going on patrol without you.
Likewise, conflict and initial depictions of unhealthy relationships were overcome through communication and growth. It should be noted that while Under the Red Hood deals with the death of the second Robin, Jason Todd, this is not a case of faux parental representation with fridging, because the death is not permanent and surrounding conflict only reaffirms the parental relationship.
I thought I'd be the last person you'd ever let him hurt.
Using Zeglin's conformity to masculine norms index, neither of the 9 masculine traits consistent throughout all aforementioned adaptations were compromised for these 2 adaptations either, with the exception perhaps of self-reliance, which is considered to be a harmful trait. However, it should be noted that these 2 were not widely released, nor were live-action feature films, garnering considerably less viewership. For reference, using IMDb figures, Under the Red Hood and Titans viewership is roughly 2% of The Dark Knights. The content analysis found that 7 out of 10 of the most popular Batman adaptations in the last 20 years do not attempt to portray the masculine heroic character as a parent or emotional caregiver to adopted or biological children. If you exclude Lego Batman due to the perceptual ambiguity of comedy intent, that becomes 7 out of 9 adaptations. Live-action representations that were widely released in cinemas and had subsequent greater viewership and popularity all did significantly transform, erase, or only in a false capacity represent the masculine hero's role as a father. These representations tend to limit the depth and nuances of masculinity, erasing a domestic role in a character who is represented as performing 9 CMNI masculine traits. Furthermore, it, on a mass scale, erases aspects of male identity and mass produces or normalizes the notion that heroic aspirational masculine identities are incompatible with functioning domestic life and fatherhood. While this study was not conducted with the intention to condemn filmmakers as though there was malicious intent, it is important to interrogate why the choices have been made to either consciously or unconsciously remove this core aspect of the character, and whether these representations are perpetuating toxic masculine norms. Thank you.